All right, it looks like we are live. Hello, and welcome everybody to this special Friday afternoon webinar on crafting advanced custom commands with Cody. I'm so glad that you can join us. My name is Otto. I run the developer relations team here at SourceGraph, and we have a couple of special guests today. We have Justin from the community team, who's going to be moderating and helping in the background. We have Kynlo, who created a really awesome tool for creating custom commands with Cody. And then we also have Beatrix, who is one of our engineers working on building the custom command feature and really, being an awesome engineer, continuously advancing and adding new features to Cody. So today's topic is going to be around custom commands with Cody, how to use them, how to create them, and how to work with them. But we have a lot more announcements. So before we get into that, I'm going to share my screen and briefly go over what's new with Cody 1.2. And then we have a special announcement for a new generate unit test command that we'll go into. And then we'll turn it over to Kynlo to show us the tool he built, as well as talk about custom commands with Cody. So let's talk about what's new for Cody in version 1.2. So we have a couple of new features. We have an updated chat list and a new history button, making it much easier. Let me actually zoom in a little bit so it's easier to see. So we have an updated chat list and a new history button, making it much easier for you to go back in time and find your conversations instead of having to scroll through the through a big long list of commands. Next, we've removal of slash commands in chat. So we removed the slash commands from the chat interface. However, they are still executable from the Cody sidebar command palette and the context menu. So if you are using Cody chat, the commands, like the slash commands where you put in slash and enter the command, no longer work. We have redesigned our chat editing workflow. So now we have this GIF, and I'll zoom out a little bit to show you how you can edit the last message or start a new chat. So that is new in 1.2. And then finally, and I think a lot of people are going to be happy with this one, improved context window handling. So we made several changes to the handling of the context window behind chats. So the allocation of the LLM context window used for transcript messages has been expanded. So chats are now better at remembering past contexts. And I know I've run into this issue myself, where you ask, one question or maybe a follow-up, and it says that the context list, the context has been exhausted. So now we've made a couple nice changes there, as well as a number of other changes. So we've relabeled the action buttons, and our custom command beta updates are now so that we support running custom edit commands from the chat window. And we've removed the context code base custom command property. We just didn't see a lot of people using it. It wasn't very useful. So we have deprecated that. So if you do have any custom commands that are using the context of the code base, feel free to remove those. And that's it for 1.2. Now there is one other feature that we want to show, and this is live now in the pre-release version of Cody. And that is the ability to generate unit tests now runs inline and is available. And I have a quick video to show you how that works. So let me go ahead and play that for you, and then we'll kick it off. So Love that. Well, thank you so much for that demo video. B, it is, I think that's going to be one of my most used features just because, you can today in the chat interface, ask Cody to generate tests and then ask, like, can you create more tests? But having this shortcut, I think is really going to change things up and make it much, much easier. So yeah, let's dive into our main topic for today, which is working with custom commands. So I would love to introduce to the stage Kynlo, who is one of our most active community members in the Discord community. He created a couple of pretty cool tools for working with custom commands. And also, let's invite Beatrix on stage as well, just to talk about custom commands, how we're thinking about them, and where the future of them is. So, welcome both of you. How are you doing today?
Very good.
Awesome. So, Kynlo, you recently published a blog post on the Sourcecraft blog called, let's look up the name. It is a mouthful, but I love it. So it is called Codeception: Coding Cody Tools with Cody for Coding with Cody. Now, that is
I was muted. Sorry.
I wonder if Cody came up with that title, but that is quite a title, and I don't know how well it's going to do from an SEO perspective, but from a uniqueness and just joy perspective, I love it. So in this blog post, you kind of go over, and I'll throw my screen up here. You kind of talk about Cody a little bit and talk about how to use custom commands with Cody. And you kind of went down a rabbit hole of, creating custom commands and then building a tool to help other developers create custom commands. And then you ask Cody to create commands for you. And then, it kind of got out of hand. So do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
A little bit, yeah. Just first, they said I'm muted in chat. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, perfect. I had myself muted while I was backstage, so just to make sure. Right. Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, I did go kind of crazy with the custom commands. I ended up with, I think I've got a personal collection of about 700 or so now. There's 400 available on Codeception. And as you said, I did use Cody to actually produce quite a large amount of that. Yep, 700, as they just said in chat. That's quite a lot. I did use Cody. It was quite difficult to convince it to actually make the commands because obviously with Cody being pre-prompted to work as an AI assistant, it was more inclined to answer my question than actually produce commands, if that makes sense. But once I'd sort of got the process down, it did a fantastic job of spitting them out left, right, and center. And yeah, I kind of just went on a little bit of a binge and decided, I wonder how many of these before Cody breaks. And it turns out Cody won't break.
Love that. Yeah, and we'll talk a lot more about the Codeception app and show how it works. But B, I wanted to ask you, when it comes to the custom commands, I know, we have a couple of them. We provide a number of commands to like generate unit tests and ask questions and explain code. What was our thinking from the engineering perspective in building these custom commands? Because I know a lot of the other AI code editors, they typically either stick to like autocomplete or a chat interface, and commands are kind of unique to us in a lot of regards.
Yeah, so at the beginning, it was just for myself, kind of trying to make asking a question or common questions easier. And it feels like there are so much more we can do, but we only provided a few predefined commands that we think, or I think, doesn't work for everyone. So I feel like there should be an easier way where people can just build their own command based on their needs and their code base, and actually be able to use the power of AI to work with their code base.
For sure. Yeah. And I've, personally, I love our built-in commands, but sometimes I found it, very useful to take what we have and kind of expand it for my specific use cases, tweak it around a little bit, and being able to just, customize the commands has given my whole workflow a whole new set of life. Kynlo, if you want, let me share your screen, and maybe
Yeah,
you
go
can
on.
kind of walk us through a little bit about how your app works, and maybe show us, some of the commands you've built and how you use them with Cody.
Yeah, by all means. First off, let me just say this little bit here. It's supposed to be a multi-line input, but a few little fixes that I put in just before the stream have kind of sent everything a bit wonky. So this will all be fixed about 5 minutes after the stream. Live streams, everything goes wrong. But yeah, as you said, you've already introduced Codeception. It's a tool for creating your own personal commands for Cody. Just basically to make life as easy as possible, because otherwise you do have to go in and edit the code manually, insert all the JSON script yourself. This, we have a massive list of predefined commands, as you can see. But if you want something specific, you can just choose to search live for whatever you want. So say we want to convert, if I can spell, if we want to convert to a different language, we can do Python to Java, Java to Python, but these are all just examples. It will drop everything into where it needs to be. These are the command contexts, so you can choose the highlighted selection in your code in VS Code or any of your other editors. I'm not actually sure. B, do the other editors support these options? I only personally know about VS Code.
You mean in VS Code, do we support all of this, or?
No, I mean in the other IDEs like JetBrains and such.
No, this is only
No.
available in VS Code, yeah.
Right, no worries. Thanks for that. So yeah, as you highlight your selection, this will choose your highlighted code to run the command on. This will run it on any open tabs you have available in your VS Code IDE. Also, this one does your current directory. This will work on the file itself, rather than just the code snippet that you're giving it. The command will actually, I've not personally used this one very much, but from what I can understand, it will output, basically it will output a command into your console. I think B will probably be able to explain this better once the command has been run. Again, don't quote me on that. I've not really used that one myself. But for the slash command, I can't share that side of my screen, but for the slash command, you can just type in anything you want. And then when you type in your / key into custom commands in VS Code, that's what command will come up. But if you don't have a slash command, this is what comes up as your slash command. So it will default back to your command name. The note is purely just for yourself. That's for if you want to use it in certain contexts, you just want to use it in a certain place. That's just for whatever you want. As for inputting the JSON, you can pop it up here. And as you can see, it's already pre-filled in everything for you. Then you just literally just hit your copy button, open up your Cody.json file in either your workspace or your global workspace. It does allow you to use it within the space you're working in, or as a global function. So you can either just keep it for that project, or you can keep it for every single project. Because sometimes you just don't need a command for everything you're doing. You can also save your command. This will just save it as a backup. Again, you can go in, you can use that. You can copy and paste it from there later into your Cody.json. This just opens up VS Code straight to Cody's extension. And this just brings up the documentation that B wrote. Was it B? Yeah, it was B. Other than that, the back end of this is purely just HTML, JavaScript, and CSS. Not very good CSS, as you can probably tell. But yeah, oh, and I forgot, we do also have a nice little sidebar with a hidden little feature. If you want to have a look through, you can go and take a look at every single every single command in the JSON file using this nice little viewer here with, again, live search. So you can use this however you want. And yeah, I'm not sure whether there's anything else I can really describe. So I'll hand it back over to you, Ado.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And yeah, this is such a cool tool. I'll share my screen and kind of dive into it a little more. So let's switch the screens. And yeah, the walkthrough was really great, but I think really the strength of it is when you go to use it. So let's open up the handy tool and light mode. No way. All right, let's go back to dark mode. I'll zoom in a little bit. And yeah, like Kynlo was saying, you know, you have all of these custom commands that a lot of them were generated by Cody, some were generated by himself as the developer. And if you wanted to create your own custom command, you could do so by just giving it a name, you know, my custom command, giving it the prompt, what you want it to do, what context you want to give it, how you want to activate it, and then being able to get that JSON data. I guess I have to fill out all the fields to add the command. And to show you how this works in VS Code, and I know we got a couple of really good questions in the chat as well, and we'll get to those in a minute. But just to show you how this works, if I open up Visual Studio Code and go into Cody, again, I'll zoom in a little bit just to make it easier to see. You know, we have the source graph provided kind of starter commands, I like to call them, for, you know, Chad documenting code, identifying code smells, generating unit tests. And then we have this section of custom commands. So I don't have 700 plus commands running. I only have a couple of different ones. But to execute any of these commands, you basically, you know, you could just click on it, you know, highlight the code, you know, convert it to Golang in this case. Or one command that I always like to show people is this custom command that I built called Tailwind UI, which allows me to build Tailwind CSS components really, really quickly. And let me show you how this command works before we go into creating additional ones. So I will stop this one here. So when I execute the command, and I updated to the latest where we removed, let's highlight the code and run a custom command, and we'll say Tailwind UI, and then we'll pass in what type of component I want to build. So let's say Tailwind UI and say, build me a landing page for my new application. And the way that this is going to work is Cody's going to look at my context, just this index.html file. And since in the custom component code, I already told it that I wanted to be built with Tailwind CSS styles, it's going to go ahead and generate in this case, a landing page for my application. And let's see how well it does. It's generating a lot of information here. And since I already have the body tag, I'll just copy the code in between. So we'll go from the footer up to the body tag, the opening body tag. And let's paste that in, save it, and go live with our server. And look at that. In just with one command, I was able to generate a landing page for my application that has 3 amazing features, allows the user to sign up. We have the footer pre-built, and all of this was done in just one simple command. And to show you how else we can, you know, build on top of this application, If I go and select any of the elements, let's say on kind of that main hero section, if I select it and run another Cody command, let's say to edit the code, I could say add a secondary button to learn more. And again, Cody's going to read this file, understand that we're working with Tailwind CSS classes, and update the code accordingly based on my next input. So let's give Cody a second. We're doing a live demo. Hopefully nothing breaks. And while Cody is doing its thing, let's see if there's any questions in the comments. So there was one question earlier, and I'll throw it up on the screen. Can I use these commands throughout all the files in the repo? For example, TypeScriptifying the whole JavaScript code base. B, do you want to answer this one?
Yeah, it should work in all the test files in your current workspace.
Got it. And yeah, so I think the one caveat here is like you would have to go to the individual files to run the command. So you can't say like, go through and update all of my files in one fell swoop, but definitely you should be able to run it on any file in the code base. And then there was a question from Gabe, and he asked, are there any plans to add this functionality like the app that Kynlo built into VS Code directly? And I'm gonna restart this because it pooped out on me. Add a secondary button. So when it comes to adding adding custom command functionality within VS Code, we can absolutely do it, but it's not as nice as Kynlo's application. And to kind of show you how that works, I think my Cody might be having some trouble running, so we'll just pause it for a second and we can come back to it in a bit. But to work with custom commands without the app, you can go in and create a new custom command. And it kind of walks you through a very similar process where you give your command a name. So let's say we want to add a command that updates Tailwind UI. So we'll give it this name. We'll enter the description, updates Tailwind CSS components. Enter the instructions. So this is the prompt that we want to send to the LLM. So we'll say, update the given component and add more features to it. This is a terrible prompt, but let's just do it for the sake of the demo. And then here, the context options, just like in the app, we can do our selected code, we can do our current directory, the command output, or no context at all. Let's say selected code. That's a good one. And then where we want to save this command, so we can save it either in user settings or workspace settings. And the difference here is if we set it in our user settings, this means that this command is going to be available across any file, any project that we open up in VS Code. If we set it in our workspace settings, then it's going to be project specific. So just in this particular project that we're working on, this one, I think I have it called assembly. So I just save it in user settings. And now our command is ready to go. So we can run it by either doing the shortcut or going Cody, custom commands. And now we have our updates Tailwind UI component, update Tailwind UI custom command, and we can execute that by like so. So let's see how Cody is going to update the functionality of this one section that we added it. And again, we can add additional prompts to the command if we wanted to add, additional information. But let's see how, let's see what this does. So it looks like it added some of its own styles as well. It's giving us a whole lot of stuff to work with. So let me copy that and paste it in place and see what Cody thought we wanted to do. So I'll save. We'll go back to our browser. And now if we refresh, we do have, in addition to the Discover features, we do have a Download Now secondary button, again, in Tailwind CSS styles. We have a testimonial section. So Jane Doe has left us a testimonial saying that this app has revolutionized the way I work. And everything else looks the same. I'm not sure what the animation that Cody recommended was. I didn't see it in here. Maybe if we scroll, no, all good. So yeah, that is how you can work with custom commands, adding custom commands within Visual Studio Code. Let's see, any other questions? For now, it looks like we are good. So yeah, Kynlo, do you want to tell us a little bit about any, or B, do you want to tell us about custom commands that you have in your everyday workflow, how you're using them, if you're basically how it's changed your workflow?
B, you can take this one for the minute if you want.
Yeah, I can go first. So I think my most used custom command is the one that generates the commit message. So for the command, the context field, I will put in the git command where it will run in my terminal and get the output of the current git diff and summarize the git diff for me. So it can generate a commit message that actually meaningful and summarize the changes that I sometimes forget even. So I think that was really helpful. And then another one is to update the change log, again, using the same context, but you can turn a custom command into an edit command by setting the mode to edit. Yeah, and then you can just run the command and it will run your prompt inline for you using the context that you want. So I think that has been really helpful for me.
Yeah, that sounds like a really useful command that you've found there. Are there any more that you've been using recently, or?
I think those are the most used one, and then also I guess a spell check commands where you just like do other spell check for me and other readme generation kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, personally, some of my most used are adding comments, adding the readmes. As of recent, fixing CSS files because CSS. It's an absolute nightmare. And refactoring the code as well. So obviously removing any sort of like superfluous code and fixing any little issues. Code is really, really good at that, especially if you're running on like GPT-4, or I can never figure out how to pronounce it. Is it Mistral or Mistral? I have no idea how to pronounce that. But the Mistral model and GPT-4 are both absolutely fantastic at generating your comments, refactoring your code. So yeah, I use them pretty much every day, to be honest.
Awesome. Yeah, I think for me the Tailwind one, the Tailwind custom command is a lifesaver for me, just because I do a lot of stuff on the front end, but I would not classify myself as a front end developer by any any means. So it really helps me, even if to just get an idea of a component that I want to build. So it's very similar, like if you've played around with v0.dev, where you can just kind of enter a prompt and it generates a number of UIs that you can iterate on. Basically, I have that functionality recreated with Cody custom commands. and I just tell it, hey, I need a testimonial section, and then it's like, add more padding, or, play around with the font size, play around with the placing until I get it just right, and then I'll go in and, do some final touches, and it makes for really powerful, really good-looking UIs. And this is all thanks to Cody and the awesome team at Tailwind for building such an amazing library. I know we had a couple more questions in the chat, so let's answer those before we dive further. Let's see. So Emily asks, sorry if I missed this, can you control which context from your repo that Cody pulls in, how the source graph is traversed? B, could you answer this one?
Yeah, so using the Codeception app, for example, there you can choose what type of context you want to use with the command, and that includes allowing you to specify the file path as well. But yeah, to answer your questions, yes, you can control what which context from your repo that Cody can pull in. And I'm not sure I understand the question how the source graph is transfers.
Yeah, I'm wondering, Emily, does that answer your question? And if not, could you just follow up there? I think from my understanding, this might not be exactly just like custom command related, but maybe just Cody in general, how it's getting context and how you can control what context. But let us know in the comments if we misunderstood the question, and we'll be happy to kind of clarify. Yeah, I think while we wait for more questions, and these are some awesome questions coming in, please keep them coming. I want to show you how you can use the Codeception app to generate a command and then add it to your Visual Studio Code. So if we go back here, let's share my screen. So if we go back to the Codeception app, and let's say I want to either create a custom command, or let's pick a good one from the pre-created ones. Let's see if there's any around HTML, CSS maybe, optimize CSS for performance. So let's try this one. Optimize CSS for performance, analyze the context code and optimize CSS for better performance, consider minification, bundling, and critical path rendering. The context is a selection. And yeah, so let's show this JSON data, show you how you can add this command to Cody, to your Cody in VS Code. So all we have to do is copy the JSON here, go into our Visual Studio Code, go into custom commands, and we can hit this configure custom commands button. And then we can see our workspaces, our user and our workspace settings. So let's open up the user one, and we can see a list of our existing commands. So I have the write a Mongo query, write a SQL query, the Tailwind UI, my custom command, which was just a test command. And then down here, let's add that optimize CSS for performance. And let's see, did I import it incorrectly? Commands. Am I missing an array item? Let's see if I can figure this guy out.
You haven't closed out one at the bottom. You need 4 little curly guys.
Yeah, this is good now.
Okay, so live demos, folks. So if we
Adam, you need one more.
One more curly. Nope.
Oh, what?
2 more? No.
What should happen is if you try save out with 3, it should automatically update it for you.
Oh, I think it was it's because on line 59, there's it should be a curly bracket instead of.
Oh, the selection.
I think.
No. That's the prompt name.
What does it say when you hover on the red lines?
So property expected. It's not very helpful. Let's see.
I'll show you how I close out mine. I've just dropped it into the Backstage chat.
Okay, let's take a look.
Actually, if I share the screen here, yeah, it's probably a bit easier. If I share the screen for you, share screen, window. Here we go.
Okay, let's take a look at Kynlo's window. Let me.
So in your file, you start without the name for the command.
Okay, so let's redo this one. So I'll go back to custom commands, configure custom commands, open user settings.
Yeah, so here the command.
Oh yeah, the command name line.
Yeah,
you need to remove the command name line. Sorry, I should remove that from the JSON output. I'll do that. No, and the one that you've just added at the end there, Ado. The first line, command name. Oh,
command name.
No.
Remove it?
remove the command name, and you still want only the command name key. So
yeah.
So just the key, right? So this guy right here?
No, you still want to keep the optimized CSS for performance because that's the name, but we don't need the command name key. Yeah, this part.
Okay.
And then on line 56, we can remove that open bracket. And then
I see.
Yeah, and then after we will add it back after on line 56. So that's And
there we go. So that was my bad.
I'll update my side to make sure it's a bit more clear how to do that.
All good. Okay, yeah. So the key is the command name, and then the prompt context, command, etc. So now that we've successfully added our custom optimized CSS for performance, we should be able to run it. And let's open up a file that has some CSS. I'll close this folder and let's open up one that has CSS in it. So we'll say here, let's see if we could find pages, maybe a different one. Let's close this folder and do maybe this one. We'll have some CSS somewhere. Styles, globals. Okay, here we go. Let's highlight all the code and run a custom command called optimize CSS for performance. And let's see what Cody suggests. So here it said, to optimize CSS for better performance, you can consider the following steps. So minification, minifying all of our code so that there's no white space, bundling it into a single file, which I already have, and then critical path rendering, identifying the critical CSS styles and having those load above the fold and then loading the rest of the style sheet. So we have an example of the minified CSS, removing all the white spaces, and then extracting our main stuff, the main elements, body, main, and logo, to be at to kind of inline those, which I think is a good practice, preloading the rest of our CSS. And yeah, so this custom command does what it says it's going to do. So that is really cool to see. Let's see if we have more questions and comments. So Emily did follow back up saying, yes, exactly that. So B, to go back to our discussion about Cody context from your repo, is there a way to control, and I think that this kind of goes back to that Cody ignore feature that we were building, where you can pick and choose which files you want to have, you want to be used as context. But could you talk to us a little bit more about, just in general, how we figure out which context to use within a repo for Cody?
So for custom command, is because the goal is to give the user back the power to choose their own context. So that's why custom command is more focusing on the context from your current workspace, where you can just define if you want to use the specific file or the current file or current selection, which is different than how Cody's chat work, because for Cody chats we use another mechanic to do this, to get the context for you from your current code base, but you won't know what type of context you are actually getting for your prompt until you have asked your question. So these are the differences, I guess, between the context we use for chat versus the context the user defined for their own custom command.
Got it. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So when you are writing a custom command, just to kind of rephrase that, when you're writing a custom command, you have much more control in choosing the context source. When you're just using the general chat or edit, then SourceGraph kind of figures out what is the most relevant context within the code base and uses that to generate the response. Awesome. Well, thank you for that great question, Emily. Yeah, so it looks like we have about 10 minutes left. Are there any other questions, any other custom commands, or any questions that you as an audience member have, or any of our panelists, anything you guys want to see or share about custom commands, where we're headed, how to best use them, or anything like that?
I suppose while we're waiting in chat, it'd be nice to hear if we've got any sneaky upcoming features in new versions of Cody or anything like that to hear about. Because I'm very nosy.
Well, I think for me that generate unit test command that we showed at the beginning of the stream, that is now available in pre-release, I think that's a cool one, and I could see us maybe adding more of those features for specific use cases or specific things that you want to do within a code base. Like I said, I use that feature, like generate more tests, when I type it into the chat all the time. But being able to now just one-click that within a specific test to see when I need more coverage, I think it's going to be really great.
Oh yeah, definitely. So personally, I use the explain this code function that was actually default in Cody. I use that quite a lot because working with other people's code can be a nightmare. It's not always documented. So especially when you're looking at a function that's could be potentially hundreds of lines long, Cody is so good at like dumbing it down for you essentially and making your brain a bit less melty when trying to work with other people's code that you just no documents. So yeah, I mean, some of those built-in commands, even without adding any custom commands, are just absolutely fantastic.
Yep. And I will say, that definitely applies to people's code, but it also applies to your code that was written, 6 months ago, because
Yeah, exactly.
there's nobody worse than, nobody's a worse coder than me 6 months ago. And opening up an old code base, an old project, and just looking at it, I'm like, what is this thing? And having Cody tell me exactly what I was thinking 6 months ago is very, very helpful.
From them 3 a.m. coding sessions.
So Christopher has a good question here. Do we have a place where users can submit their custom commands, sort of like a custom command store? I love the useful commands you guys came up with. I'm sure others would like to share. So at the moment, I don't think we have a centralized place, like a centralized store of commands, but that is something we've been talking about internally, just kind of having something public or open source. And I know there's a couple community members that have kind of started up their own GitHub repos where they're sharing like awesome Cody commands. So we can share a couple of those, and then Kynlo's Codeception app, I think, if you wanted to submit PRs for that, we could definitely, or if Kynlo would like to kind of add them to the list of pre-built commands.
For some unknown reason, I'm typing in chat. I don't know why. But yeah, I'm sure I could add a feature to Codeception at some point to do a very similar sort of thing. Not entirely sure how it could work yet, but I'm definitely open to talking about it. And Christopher, if you're on Discord, I'd absolutely love to hear more about your idea there. But yeah, like for now, you can submit PRs on GitHub or pop over to Discord, and I'm more than happy to add them into the current Cody.json file that controls the command creator on Codeception.
Definitely, I think that would be cool, and maybe we can even start up a like a Discord channel for custom commands.
Yeah.
Because I think, at least in my experience with custom commands, it is a little bit of trial and error, kind of tweaking the prompt to get it to do exactly what you want. So, feel free to share your custom commands there if you're not quite getting the right output, or if you are getting a really amazing workflow with a certain custom command. I'm sure the community would love it. So yeah, and I think we'll definitely make it a priority to kind of find a long-term centralized place for sharing custom commands in the future.
Yeah, definitely.
Great question.
And over on the Discord, I'm sorry, just quickly, and over on the Discord as well, we do have a guide for best processes on how to create your prompts for custom commands. But that obviously translates over to your prompts for not even just custom commands, your prompts for Cody itself. Because obviously, like you say, crafting your command, it can be a trial and error, it can misunderstand you. So I wrote a small little guide on one of the forum sections that I think it's in the public sections now, the Cody experts, the expert guides or whatever it's called, the new forum section. And that explains basically how to best structure your prompt for, well, the best output to make life quicker.
Right on. I haven't seen that, but I'll definitely go check it out myself. Yeah, I think we are coming up on the hour shortly here. Any final closing statements, B or Kynlo, before we let folks go for the day?
Nothing from me. It's been nice chatting with you guys. That's pretty much it.
Same here. But if anyone has any idea on how we can improve the custom command, please feel free to drop those in our Discord channel as well. I would love to improve it and make it actually usable for everyone. So your feedback will be really helpful for sure.
Absolutely. And yeah, and B is so amazing. I think I very early on when we had custom commands, I had a feature request to be able to add additional context to a prompt. And within, I don't even think it was like an hour, he was like, yeah, here's the PR. It's ready to go. So we do listen to all your feedback and try to implement it and iterate pretty quickly. So yeah, thank you all so much for hanging out with us today. If you'd like to give Cody a try, you could get it for free at cody.dev. Check out Kynlo's Codeception app to get an idea of some of the custom commands. Create your own, share them, join us in the Discord community, and we will see you next time. Thank you all so much. Have a great afternoon.
Thanks, guys. Cheers, guys.